Hi guys, on today's episode I thought I'd tell you about a bit of a project that I've been getting up to. I've made myself a floating shelf for an alcove in our kitchen dining room, and I've been experimenting with some finishings that I want to put on it. It's got a plywood top and you've got a pine frontage on it, and I've been looking through the different options. And I've gone through the idea of stains, and I've done that in the past, but I want to move on to something a little bit better, a bit more professional perhaps. And I've come up with the idea of using various furniture waxings, and today I'm going to talk about two different types of Briwax product. I've purchased the medium brown. Right here, I don't know how well you can see that on the camera there, and also the antique brown version. Briwax is supposed to be a professional grade furniture wax. It's a combination of beeswax and carnauba wax apparently, so it's world renowned. A lot of top furniture companies use it to finish pine and other wood products, and I thought I would just give it a go, try it out, see how best to get a good finish on the product. I've tested out a couple of sample scraps, both on plywood and on bits of pine, just to see what it comes out like. So I thought I'd show you the different sample pieces on these scraps, and then I'll show you the product, the shelf system that I'm making. So here's what I came up with the medium brown. I don't know how realistically you can see these shades because it is under artificial lighting in my garage, which isn't so good. So that's a medium brown, and this is what I came up with the antique brown version. I did initially experiment with using boiled linseed oil and then putting the Briwax over the top of that, which was a bit of a disaster really. I didn't like how it came out, but this is what it looks like when you've got the linseed oil underneath. You get a very kind of garish finish. It's super shiny, almost a golden type appearance, and the antique brown is a very light colour anyway, and I wanted something that was a lot closer to the original furnishings in my kitchen diner, so that's what I'm trying to match it up with based on Briwax's colour charts. So yeah, that's what I've been experimenting on so far, and in a minute I'll just show you the shelf system that I've been building. Right, here's the shelving unit that I'm building, or I've almost built in fact, just need the wax on it really. So it's a floating shelf in an alcove. Essentially, you've got the plywood top here, you've got a bit of pine trim there, and you've got a sheet of ply on the bottom, and some battens all around the edge on three sides of the alcove here, and it's all kind of sandwiched together. I've got a cable tidy section on the back here because it's going to be used for a hi-fi, so all the wires and plugs are just going to go down here. I've routed around the edge of here. Maybe I'll do a separate video on my router at some point. That might be quite interesting. Same on the front. I've rounded off this edge here and the bottom one as well. Wasn't the best join on here, I must admit. I've had to use a bit of filler on that. I've also had to scribe the sides because, of course, as with all older houses, you'll never find a completely straight, level, plumb wall. And I've had to use my bevel to get the right angles here. So at the back, I've just put the bevel in the corner here and measured across the distance at the back, and got me bevel angles facing outwards, and just traced that through with a straight line, anything really, a level. get me points at the front, cut that back to the thickness of this piece of pine at the front here, and then just copied that same angle onto the pine, which works out about 7 degrees, I believe. It would be better, I think, if this was a bit further back into the wall, but I have used the router again just to take off this arris here, essentially, just round it off a bit, and it doesn't give too bad a finish, and the gap there is comparatively small. I suppose if I did it again I'd probably improve on my scribes, but they're reasonably tight from what you can expect. I suppose if you wanted to be really fussy you could put some cork around this as well, but I shan't bother in this case. Much the same on this side. It does stick out a little bit more from the profile of the wall, but that doesn't fuss me too much. Obviously as it comes along the length here, and you put your angle on this end, the thickness of the timber does cause it to stick out more, because you're not just measuring back the thickness of the timber, the angle will extend that slightly. So yeah, a little bit gappy down there, but not bad. I'm aware this wall does wave in and out a bit. In this case what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sand the top, prep it properly before I put the wax on. The grain goes this way, which could be quite awkward really. Not such a great sanding area to move across in one sweep, but we'll see. When you use the router on all of these roundovers here, the router obviously, I suppose if you looked at it under a microscope, you'd see that the router actually produces hundreds, if not thousands, of little teeth marks as the blade spins round. So although you believe that that's a smooth surface, it's actually not. So I'm going to have to go over that with some really fine sandpaper. So anyway, that's the plan. Sand it, and then I'll see if I can just damp it down with a wet cloth, because that will then raise up the fibres. The timber or the plywood fibres will expand a bit, and that will help it take on the wax a bit more. So that's the plan. Right, okay, time to apply the Briwax. Let's see how I get on. There's a knack to this. It's harder than I expected. I think it's a case of apply it, put it down on the surface, give it a quick rub around, and then go up and down with the grain straight away. That was the first time for everything. Right, now time for a bit of a buff up, give it a polish and get some sheen going on it. Right, okay, here's the finished result of the Alcove shelving units. It's been all waxed up, it's looking rather shiny, it's got a bit of a gloss to it. I think it's come out rather well. This is bearing in mind I'm not an expert, so I've never done any kind of waxing or finishing work before. But yeah, it's looking like a shelf now. In the end I chose the medium brown finish on the Briwax, simply because comparing to other items of furniture in the kitchen, that was the most similar colour. So if I compare it to this chair down here, it's vaguely the right kind of colour, and I guess with age it'll probably fade a bit more and it'll tend to wear into a fairly similar type of colour. So yeah, that's the finished result, guys. So if you'd like to post a comment, subscribe to the channel, or just provide any kind of advice or feedback, opinions, what you think about it, that's great. So yeah, we're just starting to set it up with the hi-fi, and it should look good. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for now. Thanks for your time. Over and out.